It is happening! Oda has just revealed one of the strongest powers in all of One Piece, the Rain God Zaza. Although born from the nightmare powers of Saint Killingam, this false god's ability is already strong enough to decimate an entire giant village just by spawning in. With how much weaker the other nightmare creatures of Killingam, especially the false sun god Nika was, as they all got one-tapped by Loki, we can only imagine how busted the real fruit holder of Zaza is going to be. This is truly endgame level powers. Now, there have been a lot of debates in the community regarding who the current holder of this god fruit might be. But you guys who have had the notification bell on know what game Oda is playing, right? Because Oda revealing the Rain God right now is him foreshadowing the coming of my goat, say it with me, monkey deadbeat dragon, who has eaten the mythical Rain God fruit. Just look at the first panel we see my goat in at chapter 100. You see those big freaking sound effects? Now look at the sound effects for the reveal of the Rain God. It's the same! Bro, he's the Rain God. He's the strongest in the entire world. He controls the rain, controls the seas, he controls water. He is him. When we jump to chapter 1182, you guys will start to realize why we need Dragon to come to Elbaf right now. Because Loki's Thorheim Blast, which is in contention for one of the strongest attacks in the entire manga, it didn't even phase Imu-sama. Instead, this guy is grinning. Loki, on the other hand, realizes that his massive size is actually starting to become disadvantageous. So he just makes himself smaller. If we look at the top panel, we can see Ragnir is much smaller than Nidhogg. But the next panel, the squirrel is in the air, off balance, looking larger, proving that Loki can change his size, which solves the biggest hurdle of Loki joining the Straw Hats next voyage, as now we know how he can fit inside the Sunny. This brief moment of respite in the fight against Imu also reveals to us some key info about Nidhogg, that over 800 years ago, he was on the side of Imu and the 20 allied kingdoms, until he betrayed them by helping Joy Boy, as Imu calls Nidhogg a traitor. It's not just Nidhogg that Imu knows about though, as the falling snow reminds him of Nidhogg's old buddy Ragnir, who is confirmed to have eaten the mythical squirrel fruit model Ratatoscore. They keep commenting, oh, you're not saying it right, bro, I don't care.
I am indeed Ratatosker.
This duo of Nidhogg and Ragnir synergize amazingly together, as lightning is born from ice colliding against each other in clouds. Turbulent winds toss around supercooled water droplets, tiny ice crystals, and soft hail. When these freezing particles violently collide, they transfer electrons. The lighter ice crystals become positively charged and rise, while the heavier negatively charged hailskins sinks. This massive separation of electrical charge builds up until it reaches a breaking point, resulting in a massive electrostatic discharge or a lightning strike. So before Loki fires his Ragna 5 arrows attack, Ragnir creates a massive lightning cloud by violently colliding the ice and snow, generating an immense static charge for Nidhogg to boost his attack power. With Ragnir's help, Loki doesn't just have to rely on his own internal ability to generate lightning, conserving his stamina while outputting even stronger blasts. But Imu isn't gonna sit idle, as he too uses a new attack. He raises his giant halo of 16 eyes into the sky, generating countless Maki demon balls. Just one of these was enough to cook Faivanji 2 chapters ago. Each of them seem to block Loki's arrows, while some even end up crashing onto his wing. This attack turns the entire giant forest of Elbaf into a scene straight out of hell. And if we look at the name of this deity called ZT Mit, I'm just gonna call it Nova Eclipse, as it follows the same demonic theme for Imu as we have seen before, where it's not just his appearance, which stems from an amalgamation of different depictions of the devil, level, but also his attacks and powers follow a similar logic. This time, it is straight from Aztec mythology. The Aztecs believed that a solar eclipse was actually the Zizi Mimic, physically attacking the sun. If the sun lost, these star demons would plunge the world into darkness and descend to Earth to devour all of humanity, which is what happened after Joy Boy lost to Emu in the Void Century. They represented darkness and fear to the Aztec people, but when I was looking into this deity, first things that popped up was actually about bosses in Persona 4 and Shin Megami Tensei games, which Oda might have played recently. Anyways, coming back to the chapter, Emu absolutely wrecks Loki and Ragnir with his Nova Eclipse. The only thing left for Loki to do is likely use his hybrid form, using Ragnir the hammer as it was intended. Sadly, we move to where 5 Anji is. Here, Bonnie is looking out at the battle between Emu and Loki in awe. Even she, a member of the worst generation that punched a Gorosei, says that she is fearful of Emu's power. Lilith has taken up the role of Bonnie's guardian as the two of them wish to create a new lab in Elbaf to try and fix up Kuma. For now though, Lilith is curious about who Emu might be. He clearly outranks the God's Knights, but he isn't a Gorosei either, as Vegapunk dealt directly with them. Although Vegapunk knew about the existence of a king of the world, this is the first time Emu has even shown himself in the lower world, so it makes sense for Lilith to question who this person might be. Not everything is sad this chapter though, because at the library things are looking up, since all of the books and knowledge of Elbaf are all safe and sound in a secret basement room. Biblo the owl protected all of the books from the fire, and Saul says how mysterious this owl is. With Biblo being around even before Yarul, the oldest giant, this bird might give us some major info about the Void Century after the battle against Emu's forces are over. Sanji, on the other hand, has no time to ponder these questions because Saint Killingam has gone out to finish their mission of kidnapping the kids after being powered up by Emu's omen. He made a big mistake though by not finishing off Sanji when he had the chance. Like, one stab with his trident would have been enough. Instead, he just dipped, saying toodles. In this panel, Loki looks like he ran away while farting on Sanji's face. Like, is it just me? Let me know in the comments. Luckily, Sanji is one of the more durable members of the Straw Hats, especially with his new Germa science lineage factors starting to become active since Wano. So he locks in, flying after Saint Q, fueled by the greatest of duties, the duty to protect Elbaf, the land of the giant baddies, bro. Every time, man, every time I hype him up, right, I call him Sanji. He says some shit like this. Yeah, we are not stopping the 5 Anji meme anytime soon, chat. But 5 Anji has competition this chapter for being the ultimate simp and gooner, as we check up on Gerd, who last time we saw her had her fingers sliced off clean by Emu. Luckily, Chopper is able to stitch them back on, but she won't be able to use her hands as a doctor for a few months. All of the giant kids and their parents are treated by Chopper. Even if Gerd's fingers were destroyed though, Rodo says that he would have offered his own to his top idol. He seems to have gained some aura points with Gerd, as she has a newfound respect for Rodo, who saved his brother Bjorn. It doesn't last though, cause he says he is high on Gerd, which makes him go back into aura debt instantly. Saint Jeffrey Summers, on the other hand, starts calling himself Super Summers after getting that. This dude's such a cornball, bro. Super Summers my ass, bro. The name's not just for show though, as he has carried over a giant ship into the Rainbow Road. The only thing left is for Killingam to bring the kids over now, and they can leave Elbaf. Luckily, Zoro is on his way to deal with this bum. Unlike Sanji, who can fly with Moonwalk, he is taking a ride on Goldberg's shoulder. Zoro then clarifies that the reason the Straw Hats are helping the Giants now is that Luffy's motto is basically his friend's country is his country. Since Imu is trying to harm his friends, Luffy will fight against them all. Only thing that worries Zoro though are Imu's black flames, which turned into steel bullets and explosives. It even powered up the knights that they just one-shotted. If the Straw Hats aren't swift in dealing with these threats, the villages and people of Elbaf will be severely affected. Zoro saying that Imu created these steel bullets with omen flames might also explain the steel heart of Saint Summers we saw after he got packed up. This might confirm that Imu used omen flames to create the mechanical heart inside the God's Knights. The steel heart might be like an internal omen core, which gives them regeneration powers. And with the outer omen circle now active, they have an extra supply of Maki and a new strength. It's not just Zoro who wants to end things quickly though, because Killingham has gone and done it now, guys. He summoned something truly insane. This goofball accidentally created what he is most afraid of after being carried away by the strength bestowed upon him. Saint Jeff is scared that this is way too strong for him to control. It should be fine though, as they keep talking about how they are running out of time and don't even care for Gunko. Saint Q says he saw her on the way to the kids, but she seemed dead, so he didn't bother bringing her along. This highlights another part of the God's Knights philosophy. While the Straw Hats and the pirates care about their friends and crewmates, even Blackbeard and Moria did, for Saint Q, Gunko, who just seemed dead, wasn't even worth a confirmation look. My money is on Gunko switching sides, of course, not just through her memories coming back due to her interactions with Brook, but also if she seems dead and Chopper goes to help heal her, his touch might allow Imu's control over Gunko to weaken, just as we saw with the Domi Reversi Giants. With her fellow knights now showing zero interest or care for her, she might just be abandoned in Elbaf as Imu's time runs out and he has to teleport away. Summers also mentions how the Great One's body isn't meant to be out in the lower world. That's a fact which the God's Knights know. However, since their key combat forces and the forces of Nika and Nidhogg are all here, they must not disappoint the Great One. Imu and the Knights plan on ending the Sun God here and now. So Saint Killingham orders his strongest nightmare creature to capture the kids. It first brings in heavy rain to Western Village. Within a moment, the entire area starts to flood. Before the Giants can even comprehend what's happening, a massive hand of water takes the kids. For those who are born above the clouds in Marishwa, the idea of water falling from the sky is utterly terrifying. These celestial bums always fear what they're ignorant about. Alongside the stories of Nika and the D-Clan devils, the monster the Celestials fear the most is actually the Rain God Zaza. It floods the entire Western Village instantly. The other dream monsters Saint Killingham created, like Nidhogg or even fake Nika, were strong, but nothing at this scale. Goldberg questions if Zoro should go back to the village, but after seeing Sanji in the air flying towards the village, Zoro says to not bother. He will be the one to fight Saint Summers where the boat is, while Sanji will deal with Saint Killingham and protect the kids. Both of them yell at each other to not mess things up. Zoro and Sanji might always bicker and argue, yet when it comes to serious situations like this, both of them have the utmost trust in one another's strength. Alright, enough yapping. With the reveal of the Rain God's identity as Zaza, we need to discuss who has this God Fruit's power, especially since this is one of the 4 gods named in the Skypiea flashback, and with it being able to bring literal rain, likely even causing storms on a planet filled with water, this is definitely an endgame level power. Now, I myself already know who might have this Zaza power, but many in the community think that there are some other possible candidates like Nefertari D. Vivi. Why? Well, because her entire arc revolved around Rain being taken away from Alabasta, almost causing the fall of her entire country. Crocodile, the big bad of the arc, literally sucked the life out of the desert nation until finally, when Princess Vivi was screaming for her people to stop fighting each other, it happened. Natural rain poured from the heavens as if it heard Vivi's pleas. This was not caused by dance powder. If we look at the design of Zaza, it follows an almost Egyptian or Arabian look to it. But the biggest evidence for Vivi being the rain goddess Zaza is definitely that she has blue hair though. Okay, on a serious note, we know that Vivi doesn't have a fruit. Her importance to Imu and the greater plot comes from her family's lineage to Nefertari D. Lily, one of the 20 kings during the Void Century. The reason Imu is interested in Vivi is due to her resemblance to Lily, who betrayed him 800 years ago. Vivi has already inherited Lily's will. From a narrative point, right, like Vivi doesn't need to be the rain goddess or the rain god to bring importance to the story. Like, it just feels like such a waste to me. The biggest thing for me though with Vivi not being the rain god is that we know she doesn't have a devil fruit, and unless it's a Poseidon situation, then Vivi can't have this power, and I don't think Oda is gonna do a Poseidon situation with Vivi again. The better candidate for this god fruit is Monkey Deadbeat Dragon. The first time he appears, we see the same automatopoeia sound effect of Zaza, which in Japanese is the sound you say for heavy rainfall. Luffy's trademark laugh in One Piece always has the knee characters, just like how the Zaza god fruit might be. Even Imu's devil powers have this big rhythm plopped all over the screen. This might be a theme Oda is going with for all of the different god fruit. Wherever dragon is, there is rain and storms. Even the Celestials fearing Zaza as one of the big three bads supports this idea. That's why Dragon, the head of the revolutionaries, whose main enemies are the celestial dragons, might have the rain god fruit. Another detail that supports this idea is Blackbeard's actions. He and his crew are hunting down some of the strongest devil fruits in the world, and when Jesus Burgess ends up in Baltigo, the Blackbeard pirates raided the revolutionaries HQ and destroyed it. This man Blackbeard doesn't do anything without a reason. The revolutionaries are one of the big organizations in One Piece. If they were like any other pirate crew, they would be considered near or at emperor class in terms of strength. So why would Blackbeard risk poking at this beehive unless the gains made it worth it? Perhaps the rain god fruit model Zaza of Dragon was worth it. The only thing in my mind which goes against Dragon having the rain god fruit is that, to me, Dragon's journey, if he didn't witness the truth about the world government in God Valley, would have led him to becoming an admiral and gaining a wind logia. In a way, through his freedom fighting organization and later the Revolutionary Army, he did the job of what an admiral is supposed to do for the public. Instead of protecting the Celestials, he uses his powers to help countries abandoned by the Marines through corruption, like Kuma's Sorbet Kingdom. Dragon is the winds of change who fanned the fire of the Flame Emperor Sabo. So I'm not gonna throw out the possibility of Dragon having the wind logia just yet, because there is another person whose likelihood of having the rain god fruit Zaza is a little bit higher in my opinion. This man is said to ride a black ship, and he creates whirlpools, which can only be done by someone that has the ability to control water. I'm talking about the man marked by flames, the one who might possess the final road poneglyph and is being set up by Oda as one of the most pivotal characters in the final saga of One Piece. But since we still barely know anything about him, mathematically speaking, my goat Deadbeat Dragon's chances of smoking that Zaza pack are much higher right now. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. There's more banger content coming out soon. Man, One Piece is so good right now. I heard there's break next week though, so we're not gonna see more of this Zaza. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye bye.